Knowing how to invest your money is harder than ever before. Dealing with stock market volatility, record debt, and terrorist attacks requires new thinking. At U.S. Asset Management, we can help you see the world more clearly so that you can move beyond the chaos and invest with confidence. Call us, visit us online, or drop by our office. U.S. Asset Management, helping you make better decisions with your money.
We focus on credibility. As we said, we're the best intel show out there. We don't tiptoe around sensitive subjects. We want to bring you the best credible reporting we can on things. And one of the issues right now that is sensitive to a lot of people is what's going on with Israel and the Trump administration. And we're going to bring you right from the best sources we have. I'm bringing on Brent Beecham right now as a former fighter pilot for the American Air Force and the Israeli Air Force. One of the best insights I know on this subject. Brent, thanks for joining me this morning, man.
Good morning.
So just to give our audience a brief backdrop, we have October 7th, we have a lot of issues in Israel with judicial reform, kind of a split in the society. We have the hostages, we have the Hamas war, we have the push for war with Iran, we have Bibi with Qatargate, we have him, being investigated over and over and over. And then you have the Waltz issue where allegedly it's not confirmed that he was providing information to Bibi offline, and Trump got really angry. So where do you see this at right now? I just want to get to the truth. I mean, what do you think's going on?
Right. So, as you pointed out, Bibi is highly unpopular in Israel right now. And the only thing that keeps him in power is the fact that centrist parties cannot get together. They're split left and right of center.
Mm-hmm.
And they have no central leader that could stand up to him and form a coalition government. So you are held hostage either on the far left or on the far right. The coalition that he has is held together by the religious right. Smotrich and Ben Gvir are absolute some of the most disgusting politicians that you could ever dream up. And they hold the Minister of Finance and the Internal Security, National Security positions. And I think most Israelis, I would venture to say 70, maybe 80% of Israelis are just outraged by the fact that those two hold any power in any government in Israel. So I think that's probably, that, and you've had Neve Kaplan on, who's a really good friend of mine, and Neve and I, probably over the last 20 years, you would say he and I are on opposite ends of the political spectrum, and he and I are almost in lockstep now. I think that sense of, and Bibi is like the ultimate political creature, and I think that sense of invulnerability he has led him to do the same thing that the Palestinians did back in the first Trump administration, when he came to the Palestinians and offered them an opportunity of prosperity if they would sign a peace deal with Israel. They thought they held all the cards. He said, "Not so fast. Watch this," and went and signed deals with the Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Sudan and Morocco, and he just brought this whole great deal together with the Abraham Accords. I think Bibi thought he held cards this time around. Trump said, "Here's the deal I'm willing to incorporate you into." Bibi thought, okay, Trump really needs me and he's my good friend. And he held out, and Trump said, "Okay, fine, we'll move on next."
Yeah, so just to bring our audience up to date, there was reports that Trump, I guess it was talking to, there was a staff meeting with Dermer, who's an Israeli politician in the White House, and he was told, Trump doesn't want to talk directly to Bibi anymore. He's not going to Israel. In fact, Hegseth canceled his trip to Israel, and and Trump was asked when he signed the peace deal with Yemen, with the Omanis negotiating, the journalist asked, "Well, what about if Yemen attacks Israel?" And Trump said, "I'm fine with that." So he's literally, kind of in this, there's also another theory, Brent, that this is a celebrity, clash just for the PR, that there's like some 8D chess that they're just doing this in order to get the deal with the Arabs. I mean, have you thought about that?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think Trump really sees the world differently.
Mm-hmm.
I think the world has been run by diplomats who run around in black tie affairs, cocktails. They really don't care to solve anything, because if they solved the world's problems and they had peace, then they would be out of a job.
Mm-hmm.
I think Trump deals with this like he would in real estate development.
Yeah.
He offers a contract with somebody. Somebody thinks they hold all the cards. He goes, you know what? I'll just move on to the next piece of property, and we'll negotiate a deal with them. And I think that's the way he deals with these situations. He's got the Ukraine to deal with. He
Mm-hmm.
had Yemen to deal with. He's still got Iran to deal with. Why is he going to mess around with Bibi when he's got other fish to fry here?
Yeah.
He can deal with Iran without Israel. And I mean, trust me, I'm highly sensitive to relationship. My wife is Israeli, and she asks
Mm-hmm.
me all the time, what's Trump doing?
Mm-hmm.
Because she sees it a little bit differently maybe
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
I
Many
might.
do. Yeah. Many do.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't think that's an abandonment of Israel, and I don't think that. But at the same time, uh, he's not. He's got a bigger picture he has to deal with. I don't think that's an abandonment of Israel. I think it's okay. We'll get back. We'll come back to you at a later date, but he's not going to let them, fail. He's not going to. I don't think he would accept an Iranian attack on
Yes.
Israel, but I think he said, well, we can deal with Iran on a different methodology, and it may be
Instead of
economic pressure or something.
starting a huge new war in the Middle East, which would,
Right,
then you don't know where it's going to go, because you've got Israel
right.
or Russia, China, Pakistan, India. All of this is a
Yeah,
powder keg, obviously, right now.
right.
Well, so where do you think this is going to go politically internally for Israel? Because you've got, as you said, a lot of Israelis unhappy, and I would say that we've reported that Bibi wasn't entirely honest with the Israeli population during the pandemic. There was a
Right.
lot of stuff going on. What the agendas were, we don't really know, but the Israeli people have suffered because of that leadership during that period, and the hostages and the families are suffering now. So it's not like the Israeli people are not, impacted by all this. Where do you think this is going to go?
It's tough to say.
Yeah.
Israel. I think Israel thought that Trump would come in, and that he would be able to maybe solve this issue with Gaza,
Mm-hmm.
and enforce hostage release, and that Israel would be unleashed on on Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that didn't happen. The hostages are, and of course, Trump came out, I think, last week and said there were two fewer alive than had been reported by
Mm-hmm.
the Israeli official count.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that's upset a lot of people. But this week, uh, basically, Israel's decided they're going to continue the war, and I think that may have also been behind what President Trump decided to move on and kind of
Yes.
maybe cut ties. I don't think that President Trump wants to see the continuation or an expansion of the war in Gaza.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably maybe a big factor. And the two guys behind that, I think, are again Ben Gvir and Smotrich. They've been pushing Bibi for continuation and expansion of that war, and they've seemed to have gotten it. And again, you know, it's a real catch-22. You can't leave
Mm-hmm.
Hamas in place, but I just don't see how you win this thing.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
they've been fighting for 2 years, and there's still 40,000 militants with,
right,
40% of the tunnels left. I mean,
right,
and you're losing the PR war globally at this
right,
point, because I mean, yes, there are the Palestinians are very good at lying and propaganda and theater, dead bodies that get up and walk away and that kind of stuff. but there is an impact on the Gazan population, and I think that what Trump is concerned about at this point. And even Huckabee came out today, who's very pro-Israel.
Right.
I mean, extremely. Like, you could make an argument that he's too pro-Israel, but he said, "Look, Trump wants the Gazans fed, and it's going to be done not by Israelis or the UN, which means American contractors." I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, well, Yosef Haddad, I saw a video. He went through some market in Gaza, and there's spices and food,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so it's like, if you remember in Africa, United Nation aid was being delivered, and tons and tons and tons of aid, and people were still starving, and it wasn't an
yeah,
issue of supply. It was an issue of distribution, and Hamas is really the issue here. They
yeah.
steal the aid, they sell it for multiples of what its value is, and they use it as for maintaining power.
And
And
a
I think
funding
that's
mechanism, right?
yes, and
They
that's the
just
I think
steal the aid. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's the big plan now is an attempt to prevent that from happening. That's the U.S. plan,
Hmm.
with some Israeli security being involved in that. It was overblown, politically. They were talking about how Israel was going to be involved directly in the distribution of aid, and I think that's been squashed now. But I think I think from the Israeli public position, let's get the hostages home.
Hmm.
Let's find a political solution to this. Again, Hamas cannot remain in power.
Yeah.
If they remain in power, this will be repeated. Maybe not next year, maybe not in 5 years, but in the next 10 years, they will do it again, and they will be shooting rockets again, and this will continue. So it's a we're going to trade 58 hostages for the next 58 10 years from now, and it's going to repeat. So it can't continue. But again, that made there with with uh, with the administration, with the Trump administration's help, there could be a political solution that removes Hamas from power. We didn't. I
Mhm.
mean, we destroyed Nazi Germany, but we didn't kill every Nazi,
Right.
and yet
Right.
we were able to dislodge them from power. And the same thing with Imperial Japan. We dislodged them from power and created two great, democratic,
That's a
you
really
know,
good point.
right.
That's a really good point. Maybe I think that's Trump's vision in Gaza, is to have a
Yeah.
beautiful, Dubai right there,
Yeah.
and on the water. I mean, the real estate's off the charts, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
just it's the Levant. I mean, right
Yep.
there on the water. So last question, Iran. Israel's talking about, well, Kotz came out yesterday and said, well, we can do it ourselves.
Mhm.
You've seen both sides of the coin. Obviously, Israel could attack Iran and do a lot of damage, but I mean, to defeat their entire nuclear program would be a difficult chore without the United States, right? Or
Well,
what do you think?
I don't know.
Mm.
If you know where the targets are,
Mhm.
and Israel uses a lot of asymmetric warfare,
True.
whether or not any of these explosions that have happened over the last few weeks
Mhm.
are just, well, work accidents, who knows?
Yeah.
Or were they the work of the Mossad,
Mhm.
or maybe they were your friends, the Iranian resistance,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
maybe the Iranian resistance was working with the Mossad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't think it always requires, you know, um, sort of kinetic.
Well,
Um,
I agree with that. I think that's the way it's going to go.
yeah,
Actually, we're going to have the Iranians on next, but I think that
yeah,
it's going to be taken down from the inside. But I'm just wondering if Israel would actually. I mean, would they have the ability? I mean, you can't really say, but I mean,
yeah.
to do
No,
that on a individual basis. I mean, they have the capability, but my sense is this is a sustained campaign. Look at what happened in Yemen. We're talking months and months and months
right.
to
Well,
do that.
the distance to Yemen is longer than it is to Tehran.
Right.
So the capability exists. The
Mhm.
fact is, the Iranian Air Force and their air defenses are incapable of stopping the Israeli Air Force.
Yes,
Israel
I
could
believe that.
fly endlessly over Iran and bomb every single nuclear site into oblivion. but we learned many, many times now that you can't win wars with just air power. Eventually ground forces are required, and Israel's not going to send ground forces to Iran. It's too far. They can't get there. So,
well, that may be, part of the, the MEK has forces on the ground, at least resistance unit. They're not heavily armed anymore. That is what they used to be. But it's interesting concept that to have a boots on the ground to do the job of removing certain pieces of, implements of power. Anything else, Brent, that you want to get out before we go?
No.
I know you got a meeting to go to.
No, let's hope this thing works out. I honestly, I think most people have no idea what President Trump is capable of doing. The fact that he's keeping everyone on their toes, it makes everyone uncomfortable. It probably makes you and I uncomfortable sometimes. But
Yeah.
I think that's the strategy. I think that's where his strength lies, is his unpredictability.
Yes,
And
he realizes that. And just like with Israel, they thought, as you said, we've got him, we can do what we want. He has to do what we want. And he's like, well, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there.
Hold my beer.
Exactly. Excellent. Brent, thank you very much. We'll have you back, my friend. Always excellent. Really appreciate it. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks.